Howdy, everybody. What's going on? It's nice to see you here on this Monday. This Monday, as we're going to do a spoiler-heavy review of Avatar. Now, this is going to be a little crazy because what's going to be happening on this, you're going to see myself, Brett, and Kate, and we're going to have two different outfits on throughout the entire show. Why is that? Because Brett can't get his house in order. No, I'm just kidding. He in the middle. Well, no, I'm not kidding. He's in the middle of a conversation, and we were talking, and he gets a text, and I understand because I've been through it. He gets a text from his wife, and he had to leave. So we're not going to show that, but that's what happened. We can take a pause.
Yeah, can you take a?
What's wrong?
Lonnie's
freaking out
because.
And so what you will see is the intro to the show. You'll hear the intro to the show. We'll talk about it for a bit, and then magically, just like a James Cameron movie, we're going to change outfits. This episode is brought to you by Carbon Health, and boy, do we love Carbon Health. I love Carbon Health, and you guys know how much I love Carbon Health because they're here every Monday, and I hope they continue to be with us because we love them. 110 locations nationwide, 80 locations in California, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and North San Diego. Advanced care for most urgent care facilities, for example, they have the ability to handle x-rays in locations so you don't have to go somewhere and get a review and an x-ray. So there's primary care in California. They do tests on site, and they believe that everyone deserves a healthcare provider who is an active partner supporting you in your efforts to feel better and live healthier. We're big fans of them. We really enjoy them. And that's it, man. That's it, baby. So here is the first intro of the Avatar spoiler. You'll see me do something similar to this, so deal with it. And then we get right into the conversation with me, Kate, and Brett. Let's do it, homies. Howdy, everybody. Welcome back. That's right. I said howdy. And I hope you're doing good. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Man, Avatar 2. Avatar: The Way of Water. It came out. It's doing business. And we're going to talk about it on the show today. It's a spoiler-heavy review. Not even a review, really. It's going to be a spoiler-heavy discussion of Avatar: The Way of Water, James Cameron's new movie. And we're excited. And I don't have the normal spoiler crew here today. I have the unlikely duo of Kate Mulligan and Brett Sheridan, who saw this movie the same day I did, which is, again, rare. You can see their very detailed and layered out of the theater reaction on the Kristian, Harloff, and Friends channel. So go over there and check that out. But we got Brett and Kate. We'll be talking to them today, and excited to really see their thoughts on it. And as I said, it's a full spoiler discussion, so make sure that you know that before you see the movie, before you do anything else. And if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 70,000 by the end of the year. We only got a couple of weeks left to do it, and it's up to you guys. I'm putting all the pressure on you. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with how much work I do. It's all about how much work you do. Is that true? I don't think so. So make sure you go and you check that out, and you subscribe to the channel. Show just a little bit. That's all we're asking about. All right. Let's get into it, everybody. And if you haven't already on Patreon, join over on Patreon. We got the podcast. We got the merch. You look at the merch. We got Show Some Class. We got the Top Gun guy. We got all this stuff. And we hope that you guys will join us over there. Get yourself a shirt. Big Thing Sith, all of it. All right, everybody. Let's get into it. It's Avatar. It's The Way of Water. It's a spoiler discussion. I'm ready. Are you ready? Oh, that's cool to know. Good. Welcome back, everybody. Spoiler-heavy discussion for what I think is one of the best movies of the year. I got to be honest. Brett Sheridan's here to talk about it. Kate Mulligan is here to talk about it. We're all here to talk about it. Let's do it, everybody. It's the big thing. All right, so first and foremost, hi.
Howdy, doody.
Hi.
Howdy. Did you like the howdy?
Yeah, howdy. But it's also just your immediate calling yourself out.
No.
Yeah. Howdy, everyone. Yep, I just said.
That's right. I said howdy. Howdy doody doody doo.
I hope my mic was muted because otherwise you hear me go.
Yeah, that's all right. I always appreciate the laugh. It validates me somehow in my life.
The snap laugh.
Yeah,
I like to do the Ernie.
All right, let's get into this movie, everybody.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man.
Isn't it good? It's just such a good movie. It is so incredibly, I think, powerful. It is visually just stunning.
I can't. Yeah, there's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's not another. I mean, I remember seeing the first Avatar in theaters with the 3D glasses, and I have the same reaction. Like at some point, like, oh, the bridge of my nose hurts. But other than that, I'm like, wow, you really are transported. There was something. I don't know if this is standard with all theaters. The sound shook the seats.
Yep.
It was like there just was. We were in Pandora for 3 hours. It was like almost a buzzkill to leave the theater because you had to leave Pandora. It was so just like little flecks of things floating, and I'm like,
well, that's someone said to me in the reaction that I did. They said, well, you said you felt that Black Panther was a little too long and could have been shaved off. The second one by like 15 minutes. Did you feel the same way about this one? I didn't. And they said, well, how come? And I said, well, because to be completely honest, it's one of those things that if you shaved off 15 minutes of it, would it hurt the movie? No. But the thing is, I'm sitting there in the theater watching it, and if I saw an alien pissing on a tree for 5 minutes, I just want to watch the alien piss on the tree because I felt, like Kate said, like I was in Pandora. I just 3D, IMAX, you're immersed in it.
You could just watch them, swimming around.
Yeah.
For an hour, just because of I was in awe of the underwater scenes and the creatures. I mean,
you felt like you were there.
Glowing. I love the glowing ones. The glowing creatures are my favorite.
Yeah. When I got home, my husband was like, "Why are you home so late?" And I said, "Because the movie was 3 hours." And told him, and he's like, "Effing hell!" I'm like, "No, actually, I am the first person that has a problem with movies that are too long." The Irishman, anyone? Like, don't even get me down that path. That movie could have been 1 hour and I would still be like,
Focus.
yeah. So I'm sorry. But this movie, I was like, part of it is just us watching them get adjusted to the water world.
Mm-hmm.
Like the middle portion of the movie is us just seeing them train on these animals. Is it necessary? No. Is it amazing?
I'll push back on that.
Yes.
I'll push back on that. I do think that was necessary because I think that the way that there was a lot of things that that James Cameron inside the writing of this let you know about that just was so smart and so much where you're watching the movie and you go, okay, that's a question I probably would have had, but now that you've set this up inside of that 3 hours, I get it. And for like one of those examples is like right off the beginning, I'm thinking to myself, well, how are they going to do this whole movie for the majority of it where there's not going to be a lot of humans in it, I don't think, and they're going to be speaking Na'vi the whole time. Are they going to do that? And then Jake Sully says within it, he goes, I learned the Na'vi language pretty quick, and after a while, it just started sounding like English. That was a way for them to go, they're speaking Na'vi, you're just going to hear English. I thought it was so smart because they played with that throughout the movie. Like when Spider's like interpreting for them, he's talking, that's the one time we go back to it. But when they're in the water place, they're all talking Na'vi. We just hear English. Yeah.
I guess what I mean by it's not necessary is just that, like, you can drop those little things and that will justify something that happens later. They could have done it. I just didn't. I didn't feel like any minute was superfluous.
Right,
it was just like I didn't feel like any of it was too much. And I genuinely don't ever have that feeling about movies.
Well, it felt that way to me. The same that you're saying, like when like that scene. We know how great of warriors they are.
Yeah. We
know that inside of the way that they've mastered the forest and all these things. The only question I had though, with all that, because Jake Sully and his crew, they're like the William Wallace crew that is like going to fight, and the humans are going to come after them and try to take them out, right? Because they want to take over that particular place. But now that Scully's on the run, why don't they just overtake the forest?
It's a great question.
Right? Yeah, that's a great question. That was the only thing I was thinking. I was like, because they know because they've got him on the run and he's hiding.
Yeah.
Why are they coming after him? Just let him.
The one guy comes after him obviously for personal reasons. Yeah, but like, why did the Edie Falco version?
He's not going at, but he's not even going after him necessarily for personal reasons. He is after he's put on the mission, but his mission is snuff him out, get him out. And Edie Falco, maybe they could even have a scene like he's on the run. Who cares? He's gone. Don't pursue it.
I do feel like she disappeared from the movie suddenly.
She only has that one scene and she's gone. But I don't know, and sometimes I ask questions like this and I miss certain things. So if people are out there and they're like, well, there's a certain reason why. But again, it's like maybe it was that reason. Maybe it was the fact that he wanted for that personal reason to go after him. But everything the way that they set it up inside of that in the beginning with his kids, and I was worried about that. I was like, okay, they're going to kind of push him to the side. It's just going to be focused on the kids. We're going to just have this kid relationship. They're going to force new characters down our throats, and we're not going to care because they want to focus on something else. They did do that, and I was cool with it.
Yeah.
like, because they set up the kids wonderfully.
Yeah.
And Sully wasn't buried, and Zoe Saldaña, she wasn't buried. They just were doing certain things, and they were trying to adjust inside of this new culture. And the relationship building, and we've seen that story before, where the younger kid is the one who is trying to go out and do and not listen, and the older son was the one who's doing everything right. And then eventually has to do that. We've seen that's why I said in my initial reaction, there's some repeating bits of things we've seen in the past, similar to the first one. But I mean, I loved it. I loved it. Brett, what did you think?
Well, I just wanted to clarify for you. Edie Falco was there to show you that really cool robot thing where she could drink coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That was,
That's why Edie Falco was there.
It was great.
That I loved. For some reason, I was just like, that is so cool. I want one of those, man.
Yeah. But what did you think overall?
Overall, I loved it. I will say, in the beginning, I was in awe of everything, but also I was a little bit of like, okay, this has got to pick up for me. Yeah, because, and maybe it was also because I wanted them to tell me more things. I should have done a rewatch, you know.
Oh, okay.
So I was
trying to remember.
I was probably in my head going like, okay, what was the deal with this one and that one, you know? And then how did Sully become, like, is he frozen somewhere? That's something I was thinking at one point. He's just a full on.
He turned at the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
He basically transferred his soul into that avatar.
That's what I thought.
Just like the military guys do in this movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they were, but the military differently though, because the military guys had that bot, and I love that spin to it. By the way, I was wondering how they were going to bring Sully back. And they just had, and even bringing back Giovanni Ribisi in that scene was great too. But they had like chips implanted in them.
Yeah, right.
So
they took all of the memories out
all
of
the memories,
yeah.
and they were implanted. Sully had his full being, his soul, like that, like where that's not really. What? Not Sully. Did I say? What did I say? Sully again?
Sully,
yeah, but not Sully. Shoot. What was the
Sigorney?
No. What's the main? I'm talking about the chip for the main villain.
Yeah. His name is Captain.
Captain Slashhead.
No, I'll get it in a second.
Captain Bad Guy.
But it's played by Stephen Lang.
Yes.
So that's what I meant, by the way. So Stephen.
What an asshole.
Yeah, right. Stephen Lang, who totally is Quaritch. So Quaritch and his crew.
Oh yeah, Quaritch.
Yeah, Quaritch and his crew. They have the chips put in them,
but their bodies are gone in the real
well,
world.
he died. So
Right,
Quaritch dies at the end of the first one. So
Right.
that's why the difference, Brett, between Sully and him is
How are they
Sully.
going to bring
That
Quaritch back? Is what you
because Quaritch is that's not. They even say it. Even they
Yeah.
even said it. Edie Falco says it. Like, that's not your son.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your son.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's his avatar who has the memories.
The memory.
That's Sully.
Yeah.
He just transferred his consciousness and his soul into another body.
Into a Navi, yeah.
That's the difference. And then Sigourney Weaver, it was the other question, is how are they going to bring Sigourney Weaver back? And I thought the way they did that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
It's her daughter.
Yeah.
And that was just the little snippet of that is I look forward to seeing more of that story in the next one. Of which I can't think of the little girl's name.
I'll tell you.
No, why? But all these names are not.
Yeah,
it's not like
they're
Kiri,
not.
Kiri.
Kiri. Yeah.
Kiri, yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver did a great job, and they
It
probably
looks
did some stuff.
fantastic.
They probably did some stuff with her voice and whatever. Maybe they
Yeah.
did, maybe they didn't. But playing a young kid, I thought
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver
Fantastic.
brilliantly, and I love what they did there, and I love how they mentioned like how the five fingers because of the kind of half human, half.
Yeah.
And that was great on how they played that, and I think that with Kiri and the way that she's connected, and I loved how they set up that thing of, well, we don't know who the father is yet.
Yeah.
But that's why we want you to watch the next couple movies.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this movie did brilliantly. Where were you on the first one? You loved the first one?
I think I remember loving the first one. I will say, to Brett's point about like going back to rewatch, they actually sort of guide you, and like there was probably a moment where if I stopped this movie, I would have been like, I can't quite explain things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like if you're somebody who's like, I remember watching the first, I remember loving the first, do I have to rewatch the first to understand this movie? The answer is no. I think 'cause
you
I
could
did
figure
not.
it out.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
not rewatch it, and ultimately, more and more things make sense. They show enough stuff, you know.
I rewatched it, and I watched it, and Vivi watched it for the first time about a month, 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it was pretty fresh in my brain.
Yeah. But I just remember feeling like, oh, we've turned a corner in cinema.
Yeah.
Like with that movie. I remember
easily.
thinking like, whoa.
Well, but the
Wow.
reason I asked that too is what I've noticed is I think all three of us here we're pretty much fans of the first one and enjoyed the theatrical experience of it. There are a lot of people who didn't like the first one, and then after the movie became really popular, and then there were some people who saw the movie, I think in wherever it was, maybe it was in the on streaming
Oh,
or
yeah.
wherever, they don't get the same kind of I don't know, theatrical experience that a lot of other people did. So I'm seeing a lot of people who didn't like the first one, who saw a screening of it, love this one.
Yeah.
And I think what it did, I think of like Winston and like Roca, right? Both of those guys or just didn't care for the first one that much. They're both want to go back to Pandora like tomorrow.
Yeah.
They both not only want to rewatch this one again, they want to, where does the story go? And that's what James Cameron has done masterfully. He's created he's talked about making a franchise out of this thing, and people are like, I don't know if anyone's going to care about Avatar. I think everyone's going to care about it after this movie.
Yeah.
And please just do it faster this time.
Yeah, do it if you could.
Yeah, right.
If you could just
Get that technology.
He'll be
which I
106
love.
years old by the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I think now that they have the technology kind of settled,
Yeah.
I think we're going to start kind of kicking into full gear of the third one. But, we can go into some specific moments. Brett, what was it with you that really that stood out? Some of the main moments in the film.
Well, the ability, and I think I was talking to you about this, of the story making you want these humans to die.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're rooting when you're like,
Yeah,
I shot him in the head, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, how did I feel about that? But
Right.
the way they villainize them so much because of the killing of the whale, if they're called whales,
whatever it
that
is.
stuff
That thing, yeah.
killed me.
Tuk. The
Oh, that whole scene, I was just like gritting my teeth the whole time. I'm like,
Yeah.
you sons of bitches.
And they set that up again so well in like knowing, because it was what Cameron does so masterfully in this movie was, as I mentioned before, with these little pieces of dialogue that are sprinkled out with these amazing visuals that just give so much more substance to the stuff. Like knowing how they mention like the idea of how smart these creatures are, and how much they're smart, so much more smarter, and because of their brain, and the idea of why they're hunting them because of what it does and how it powers up. And Edie Falco's line in the beginning of what we used to do, what used to take us years, we're doing in like whatever it was, months or days, whatever it was. That little line of dialogue, when he then explains what that canister is like, oh, and then to Brett's point about how you want to just kill these guys is when they go, well, what do you do with the rest of the body? And you're just like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? We don't need it. That's it. And the other thing that I will say, and which I understand, even though I love the first movie, I understood a lot of the criticism. Like my brother, by the way, when he saw it, he was like, yeah, like they're just really preachy, the first movie. I thought this movie clearly had the message, but I don't feel like it was overly preachy.
This one felt more family centered.
Yeah,
I think like
absolutely.
I feel
Yeah.
like the first destruction we see is actually when the sky people are landing and their rocket thing just like burns the forest, but like that does not become too belabored. It's just like an image we see. Everybody's fleeing. Jake Sully and his wife were on a date night at the time,
Yeah.
But I feel like this one, the heart of the story, and I do feel like what you were saying is like there's like the kids. I do feel like there's an A story and a B story, and the A story is the kids, and the B story is what's happening with the adults, and that's kind of cool because like you see that on TV shows, but you don't necessarily see that you're sort of with the lead person all the time in a movie.
Ballsy,
Yeah,
because those are your leads, and that's who you created the relationship with in the first movie. And now you're taking a risk and hoping that the Sun story, it's just confidence in your writing. It's confidence in the story. And I think that this story had a pretty strong core. And as you said, it is absolutely a family story. And I think that's why it to me, it hit so much, because there was that stuff of having this relationship. And I love the way the kids, like they called him sir, and they were trying to be like him, and they're trying to, like, in that opening scene, you got so much from it, from the two kids who are trying to impress. And again, all right, well, that's the young kid who wants to do everything, and the older kid's like, no, but he takes the blame for it, and he still gets a little bit of the, well, you're supposed to be watching, you're the oldest. And then you have the youngest kid, which I have to say, one of my favorite moments in it is the youngest kid. I can't remember her name, who kept reminding me of my youngest.
she reminded me of your youngest too.
Oh,
right?
Took?
Yeah, it was Took.
Took, yeah.
Full of
Is
the
it?
Took.
Can we say it at the same time? Is it a line that she says?
Yes.
One, two, three.
three.
I
Oh,
can't believe I'm
got
tied up again.
Yeah, it's like when that happened, I
I
said,
can't believe I'm tied up again.
because that's what we're all thinking.
Yeah.
100%.
You're all thinking in that moment, you're going, how many times are they going to catch this kid? And she says it, and you're like, that's great.
That's
because
exactly what a kid would say also.
But it's also a great sign of writing when you're going, okay, well, she got caught again. We've got to bring attention to it.
Yes.
We got to bring, if she's going to get caught again, we got to bring attention to it. And she's the one that says
She's
it.
the one that's going to say it.
And it's going to get a laugh in the theater. Probably got massive laughs in the theater, because it was like, it's just one of those moments where you go, okay.
Yeah.
but
Yes.
good.
Yes.
But good.
Yes.
And it's like, because it's exactly what you're thinking. And like all those moments and the fact that the younger, and that whole sequence, right, where they're trying so hard, and it's, you feel bad. And let's talk about the youngest son. And
Oh yeah.
youngest son, his it's not Norm. No.
It's
Norm. It's
no,
Norm.
the youngest son
Very
is
unique
It's,
Navi name.
It's Cliff. It's Norm.
is
It's
it Loak?
Diane.
No. Is it Loak?
Was Loak?
Was Spider is Jack Champion.
Here. Oh.
Flip Gale is Unknown.
Mateo was the oldest.
Mateo was the
Mateo,
oldest.
right?
We're-
Mateo or something.
No, let's
What
shoot. We
was
got to
it?
get these names down.
I know.
Jermaine Clement was really good, and he hit his accent wonderfully.
I did not realize that was him.
Yeah,
I was like, "Who was Jermaine Clement?" He's
yeah.
like, "He was the
scientist, yeah.
scientist."
So Flip was it
Yeah, he did a great job with that.
Needham? Is Needham? I don't know.
Oh, God.
Shoot. Tonawari. Man, I'm bummed here because I don't know. I'll just say that we'll say that the oldest son.
Anung.
The,
Maybe it was to. Man.
well, the oldest son is set up as the warrior, as the great warrior, as the one that well, we can take a pause.
Yeah, can you take it?
What's wrong?
Lonnie's flipping
Freaking out.
out because
Well, while Brett has to figure that out, we're going to change outfits and we'll be right back. But before we even do that, I want to tell you about Trade Coffee. Trade's awesome, man. So excited to be with them. So excited that they're back. And I wish you guys could smell how it smells in here. Oh, if you love drinking coffee every morning, come on. Everybody does. And you have to check it out. I've been talking about it for months now. Trade Coffee. It makes it super easy to get the best coffee. It's delivered fresh from the finest local roasters around the country. If you've been getting your coffee from the grocery store and you're drinking the same coffee every day, try something different. Try something better with Trade Coffee. It's so easy to get fresh roast delivered to your doorstep from local roasters around the country with Trade. Everybody's been doing it on this show, man. Everybody's been excited about it. I'll be honest, the first they heard about Trade and they were excited that they did, and I'm glad that we're spreading the word about Trade because it is the best. It's a coffee subscription service that makes it so simple for you to discover new coffees and make your best cup of coffee at home every day, no fancy equipment required. Whether you already know what you like or you're new to specialty coffee and you want some help, Trade makes it easy and convenient. I'm telling you, for me, I was like, oh, this is going to be complicated. It wasn't at all. I figured it out real quick, got some good roasts. This place smells wonderful. And man, I love the coffee. I was doing the cups for a while, and I was like, nope, not anymore. I have a pot going on every morning in this place, and I'm so glad that Trade is around. I love it. And so if you're just getting started or you're a coffee aficionado, you're just looking to discover something new, Trade guarantees that you're going to love your first bag or they're going to send you a new one for free. You're not going to get a new one for free because you're going to love it. Anyway, upgrade your coffee today with Trade Coffee and let them take the guesswork out of finding your perfect cup. Now, right now, Trade is offering our listeners a total of $30 off of your subscription plus free shipping. But you got to go to drinktrade.com/bigthing. drinktrade.com/bigthing. Get $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. drinktrade.com/bigthing. We're back. Thank you for Trade Coffee once again. We really, really love Trade. They are phenomenal, fantastic. Happy to have them back. I'm telling you, man, your whole place will smell delicious, as Richard says. I got that Trade Coffee. Oh my God, I wanted a little bit of pine cone smell, and I said, no, forget that. I'm gonna get a coffee smell running around my house. So I said, hey, listen. You walk in there, it's like a chestnut, and it's not Joey Chestnut who eats the hot dogs. It was like a real good smell. Get Trade Coffee. Drinktrade.com/bigthing. Not to be confused with my big thing. Hey, relax, Richard. Welcome back, everybody.
easy.
Easy. Hey, you guys are wearing different outfits.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
So am
look
I.
at that.
See, all right.
That's
Yes.
chilly.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're going to talk about the son. And we're going to talk about the oldest son.
Yes.
Or the youngest son. Let's just talk about both sons.
Let's talk about sons.
We might have already talked about them, but let's
Yeah.
rehash. I thought that the kids were phenomenal in this.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, I was worried that they were going to do this thing where they essentially did what I was worried about, which was let's push back Sully, let's push back Thierry, right? And let's just focus on the kids. And but these are the people we got attached to. And they did that, and I was cool with it.
Yeah.
But the kids were really what sold it, because the younger kid, as I was watching him, I'm going, all right, is he going to annoy me? because I've seen this character. I mean, this is what I was talking about with repeating bits. We've seen this type of story
Yeah.
before. The young kid who wants to impress the dad but won't listen to the rules, and then there's the older son who does listen to the rules, and he ultimately winds up getting hurt or something too, and it's the younger son that winds up forming the bond with the father because he did what was right. You've seen it a billion times.
Yes.
But it's execution.
Yeah.
And how do you execute it? And are you emotionally attached to those people? And the answer to me was a resounding yes.
Yes. Resounding yes for me as well.
Yes, and also you've never seen blue people do that before.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That's key.
But did that get you though? Seriously though?
No, it definitely, the execution was great, and it wasn't like I was sitting there thinking like, oh, I've seen this before,
Right,
like you said, because it's like I'm joking about the blue thing, but I mean this is a different world, and it's kind of shows that like, even the Na'vi could struggle with this thing. It humanizes them in a way, and I think it was very touching, and it comes to a very, very touching end.
Well, and I did not see there's, before we are introduced to I already forget the tuktum, the big whale.
Oh,
the big whale.
Big whale.
The big whale.
They'll get it.
We'll go big whale.
Yeah.
That he sort of became, he was our introduction to those whales.
Yes, he was. And like the two outcasts.
The two outcasts find each other, and I feel like, yes, sure, that could be a trope that's overused, but it did not feel like that in that way. And I thought like, oh, this is so cool. Like, it almost feels a little bit like Mirabelle, like finding her powers in Encanto. It's he's found like his thing. He's found the thing that he's good at, and it's a little Free Willy-ish in that way.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, can
Well,
talk
that's what I
with
mean.
whales.
There's been a ton of those things. And that's what I mentioned even in my non-spoiler review, that even for the critics, the first one who said it felt like Fern Gully or Dances with Wolves, all that stuff, I was like, yeah, sure, I get it. But I mean, Star Wars has those types of feel, like movies that have been plucked from the past. There's tons of movies that feel like movies that have been plucked from the past. It's a matter of how do you feel that they did it originally. And if you had an issue with how they did it originally in the first one, then that's your prerogative, right? But in this one, as Brett said, I didn't really notice it. If you start to analyze it and go, yeah, I've seen that before in this movie and that movie, but I didn't care because I was so locked in. And it also is because you're so locked into Pandora and being in Pandora and being like, I did not care that I was like, you could have made that movie 4 hours and I would have sat there and watched every second of it because I just am so just locked into that world and the emotion that they put together. And you look at the emotional moments is what we could talk about for sure here. And I think some of the key emotional moments for me, I think the obvious one is the one that we touched on, but we can just kind of, again, go into depth. And that's the loss of the older son. Yeah. Because of what he does, and he goes through and he's able to save them. And he's able to save them, and he gets them off, and then they get caught again, which is the laugh what we just talked about with Took going on. I can't believe I'm tied up again. But he thought he got them all out. He's like, well, we got to go back and we got to get what's his face, Spider.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, yeah, we got to go find it. And then in the second that happens, you should have kind of put it together like somebody ain't making it out of this. Yeah. Because they have to go back again because he had rescued them. He's like, I did it, and I got you again. And so they go back, and when he get and at first when he got shot. Do you remember when he got shot? Do you? Because
you didn't really know until he was in the water and you saw the blood come.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of because a lot of times you'll see and which is not a wrong choice. A lot of times you'll see it and you'll see like that's bad, but it's so subtle. He's just like I got hit, and when he gets hit, you're going, that this could be an issue. Okay, you were gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say I think that I think I did notice it happen. Like he's sort of like the way he hits the water, but then they have to go under the boat to like get out. And obviously then like when they get to the island. But the thing that was so emotional for me was actually not like there was two things, and you and I talked about this privately, but the scream the mom lets out.
Oh yeah,
when she's with him.
Oh yeah,
and it's
brutal.
This guttural. I mean, it's the only thing I can. It's like
Zoe Saldaña is fantastic in that scene.
And that's the sound a mother makes when she's in labor or when her kid dies. Like there's like the two ways you can access that sound, I feel like.
I hope so for Golden Globes, by the way, one of the reasons why I'm glad we taped this, we have a second taping here. It was nominated for Best Picture in Golden Globes.
It should be.
I hope that carries over to the Oscar, but I hope, and there wasn't any recognition for performance because I still don't think the Oscars and Golden Globes recognize performance capture as much as they should yet. But like Zoe Saldaña, who I've always liked, I always thought she was really good. I like her in Guardians, I like her in a lot of stuff, but she was so good in that scene. And so, I mean, as parents in general, all of us were rocked by that scene, right? But there's something about what Kate just said, the way that it didn't feel forced. It felt like that's someone in pain. Like, and then how she brings that to the fight. Like, she was going to kill Spider, by the way. She absolutely, I have 100%. No doubts. That was not a bluff. She was going to kill him.
I mean, it's crazy that the way her eyes change, and I know that maybe they could have, CGI could have, whatever, but like the way that her eyes look when she gets back onto that ship.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I push back on that's an animated film. It's not an animated film. It's a performance capture.
So how could it be animated? Spider's a human walking around.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, she's gonna, and it's like, again, only the kind of pissed that a mom could be.
Yeah, she's fueled on anger. Yeah, that's all that's keeping her up is anger and hatred. Yeah,
is motion capture? Does that not capture facial expressions? Does that not?
So it's different. Motion capture and performance capture are very different in the same way that people don't realize that, like, deep fake and de-aging are different technologies. Right? People always say motion capture, and even directors sometimes don't even realize it. Oh, it's motion capture. It's like Andy Serkis was the one going, no, performance capture is, because motion capture is essentially taking the design, making it, creating the face, and doing all that, but where the performance capture is taking the actual performance of the eyes and the faces and
that's why Sigourney Weaver, the girl, the daughter, looks exactly like Sigourney Weaver.
This is performance capture. All this stuff. Like, you look at the way that even the way that they shot it from the behind the scenes footage from the first one, and there's a great video of Zoe Saldaña. She's like drinking like an animated Pandora leaf, right? But then they're dropping like actual from a water bottle. The actual water is hitting her face, so she's reacting to it, and it's like the way that they do it is it's great. But in this movie, they actually had them underwater, like legit had them underwater, like had to hold their breath. Like Kate Winslet there's video of her like holding her breath, and and you look at the two movies that really embraced that and did that this year. And I think they're the two best movies of the year, and that's this movie and Top Gun Maverick, putting these people up into jets, like, for real. This is it. There's a reason why you get the types of performances that you do, but there's a lot of subtle things in this movie, and there's a lot of things that just work because of the relationship and the character. What's it? Is not Kitty or who's the Sigourney Weaver's character?
Yes. Kiri.
Thank you. But she played, and I thought that Sigourney Weaver, with what she did in that role, and believable that she was a kid, I thought was fantastic.
Also, I just have maybe missed the memo, and I apologize if I said it in our first pass at this. Sigourney Weaver's a dime. My God, she looks good. She looks
great.
Good.
She looks great.
That is a hot piece.
And she's just tough as hell too. And I mean, she's an icon.
She doesn't look like she's like played with her face too much
all.
Either.
No, at all.
Like I'm like, oh.
That's what I said. Like, you, Kate, you know how much I love me some Julia Roberts.
Yes.
Like, I was watching her and then watching Sigourney Weaver, and I had mentioned this too. It's just like these are just women. Granted, they have money.
Yeah.
But these are just women who just have just aged naturally.
Yes.
Done their thing.
Yes.
Look beautiful.
Yes.
And like just and besides it, just Sigourney Weaver is just a tough SOB.
Yeah.
And she's so good in this role because she got to play both roles. And there's that role where both Kiri and meets her mom, and she's essentially acting with herself.
With herself.
Yeah, and she's like, the fact that Kiri is connected to it, and as we mentioned previous, we don't know who the father is. I love that idea. We'll probably find that out a lot later in other movies. And then there's more news that came out that Avatar 5, we're in 2, by the way. Avatar 5 is going back to Earth. Right, and they're gonna go to Earth, and they're gonna do some stuff at Earth, but it's like leading up to it. And this is what I said. I think that you leave this going, because I think all three of us were fans of the first one.
Yes.
So what I think this
movie, I didn't realize was a kind of a minority in that, like I
don't know about minority.
I didn't realize how many people didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I also feel a lot of those people were people that saw it not in the theater when it came out later. And it's kind of the way that I think that people, when they see the first Matrix, like I've introduced Matrix to the kids, and they liked it, but not in the way that I was like, oh man, because they've seen that kind of motion thing before.
They don't appreciate how ahead of a time it was.
Yeah, exactly.
How different it was, that story, and the way that they combine things. And yeah, absolutely. But I think, and Avatar is one of those, whoops, excuse me, don't do that again. What I think Avatar does very well is there are certain movies that are theatrical experiences, but you could also enjoy them outside of it. And say,
sure.
Okay, like Dune for me, right?
Yeah.
I think Dune should have been a theatrical experience for me. I wasn't ready to go to theater back then, so I didn't see it. I probably would have liked to seen it.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated it when I watched it, how I watched it. Would I have enjoyed it more in the theater? Maybe, but I still loved it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Avatar is a movie that I think needs to be seen in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, it just, because I don't think it has the same impact. And as well, that says something about the story. Not really, because there's no movie like it. Like both movies. There is no movie, I'm not talking about the story. There is no movie that I can think of that I legit feel like I'm sitting on another planet.
Yes.
Like, and it's coming out, and it's not, and the 3D is not gimmicky.
Nope.
No.
It's like, and the frame rate, as I mentioned, the frame rate was something I was really nervous about, because the frame rate for Hobbit bothered me, and the frame rate when I saw these scenes at D23, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle a whole movie. It didn't bother me at all, because it became part of the experience.
Yeah.
You believe that like this technology exists. That's
right.
where I slipped into it. I'm like, you know, this is pretty cool technology we have these days. Yeah. Become an avatar, and all your memories can be put inside of somebody.
Right.
You know?
No, you're right. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, I know. I remember when they created that. They never created that. There's robots running around. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Edie Falco is in this movie for like 63 seconds.
Yes.
But
it's a great 63 seconds.
It's a great 63 seconds.
Yeah.
She shows up in the very beginning, and then she shows up when they're torturing Spider.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Spider, by the way? I don't know. Again, I don't know if we brought this up or not.
I like Eminem.
Is that the Eminem? So it's funny, like,
Eminem.
it was funny because sometimes I loved him. Sometimes he bothered me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was the character. I don't think it was the actor. I thought the actor did a great job. I think it was the character. Like, something bugged me. But then because I found myself going, why are these guys saying bruh and doing this to him? Like, but they're not. They're talking in their language. Mm-hmm. I'm just hearing that the same way Sully hears it, and I go, okay. It was such a brilliant move by that. I love that.
Do you know what's funny? I think part of the reason why Spider maybe was like, I was sort of like, because he wasn't a novice. I don't know. There was some part of me that was like, that's the outsider. Yeah, which, like, but wait, that's the me. And it's funny. I don't know. Like, today while I was driving here, I saw the Avatar billboard, and I was like suddenly so jealous that there were people that were still going to get to see it for the first time. And like those diving creatures, like I felt the motion. Yeah, like I dove with them. I had to hold my breath with them. But back to Spider, I just sort of feel like he feels like such an imposter.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I feel like when I see Spider, I feel like every time Kate slams into the table and makes the mic spoon.
That's good. Call attention to it.
We're back into the studio.
But Spider is he is, you know, he I think he's crucial, obviously, too, because this is why I kind of have to ask you guys, and I don't know if Kate, you probably remember more than I do if we talked about it, but like when he saves his dad, it's not even his dad, and I love that. I love that they both
about that part. We talked about the dad.
Yeah, I love that they both acknowledge that.
Yes,
we understand.
Yes,
I understand that that's not my son. Doesn't take away from the fact that I have the memories of this kid and that I attach to him, and that I really and it shows. It brings a more human side to Stephen Lang's character. Yeah, it brings a more human side to go, okay, this cold, callous killer actually cares about something. Yes. The same way like Thanos did when he I don't want to ruin it for Kate. Just found out that she hasn't seen it, but like Thanos' relationship with Gamora, like you understand it more. You understand like that this guy actually cares about something, and that's why. And Zoe Saldaña knows that. Yeah, Terry knows that. Yeah, she's like, okay, and that's why she's willing. She plays. It's not a bluff. She's willing to go there, and Spider saves him at the end, and you're like. For the story, and you're following the story, and you're going, no, what are you doing? Let him. Jake took him out finally, but then you go, I kind of get it.
He saved you. You're saving his life back.
You don't have a father figure.
You don't have a father
figure. You know it's not really your dad, but you've never had that before. And I also love, because I thought they were going that Anakin Skywalker route with him, where he's gonna They capture,
I thought, yes.
They capture Spider. He's going to turn on his friends because he's going to see the human way. He's really human, and all the humans are bad, so he's going to be bad too. And they didn't go that route, and I love that because he said, because even when he's doing the translation to the other people, and he does not want to be doing that.
He's like, I'm sorry.
He feels miserable about it. This is the stuff that I loved about Spider. And then he's pissed off, and then the end scene when he's like, "Come with me," and he just looks at him, and goes, he hisses at him, and jumps back in the water. I was like, that's perfect. Yes. Doesn't mean that he's not going to go down that route down the line, but he didn't do it in this movie, and it wasn't telegraphed.
I'm gonna disagree that I didn't quite. I kind of felt like this is just so we can bring him back. Like,
you think he's gonna be bad in the
no,
next
like
one?
I think that him saving him is just so we can bring back that character.
Probably
like
partial. I don't disagree.
But
with that.
I didn't. I don't know. I could have done without. Let's say I could have done without
You
that
wish you
part,
would've let
and
him
it
die.
gone to a different
Really?
story or something, and not have him involved.
But you don't think that ties into the whole fact that he has been left behind? He's had no. He was left behind because you couldn't. He even says you can't put babies in cryo thing.
Yeah.
Dumbass, right? And he's like, so he's forming a relationship with his dad. He's forming this thing. He knows his dad actually cared for him. He knows that his dad saved him for a reason, even though it's not technically his father, but he knows. And so he sees him down there dead, and he just was saved. If someone just saved your life,
I got it.
if someone just saved your life, and even though you knew it was that it was going to cause problems,
It makes sense in that regard, but also like it's the betrayal kind of in a way to the people that have brought him in.
I think that's why he was so pained.
And
by
I guess
it.
maybe that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Is that it's just it irked me, but also I got it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, one of those people also had a knife to his chest and was legit gonna kill him and then sliced him.
Right.
So also, I don't know. I feel like my loyalty would feel like if the mom, and she never liked him being part of that family.
That's right.
The mom never wanted her kids to play with him.
Is that what she said in the beginning?
Yeah, wasn't she?
I think because she knew because
misremembering
of where he came from. Because that whole scene, by the way, when they go back to the original scene where it all went down,
Oh, yeah.
that was awesome.
Yes.
Like, and he's sitting there looking at his own body,
Yes.
and looking, and the fact that he when the guy's having the conversation, when Stephen Lang as a human form is having the conversation with them, I was like, "If you getting this, it means because I didn't make it out." And bringing those guys back in the way that they did, what could have been lazy, I thought was creative, and you had to keep them alive. You had to keep them alive because you can't keep killing them off and then bringing them back again. Then it gets lazy. But it's like, how are they going to survive? And who's going to be the bad guy? I liked how they brought Giovanni Ribisi back in that one little scene that he had. So, yeah, man, I think that then you have an opportunity. Where do they go next with it though? Like, because they went to the water.
Yeah.
They go in the air, like in the higher trees, or I mean, they're already in the trees for a lot. That doesn't make sense.
Well, and also, I mean, it just seems like they have been welcomed into the water community now. So like maybe the next, I don't know.
Stay there.
It's a great.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
part
know.
of the community. Like
they maybe don't have to keep running. The real question is like who's going to be the antagonist the next time around.
Well,
and
it'll probably be him.
If it is Quidditch pitch, what's his name?
Quidditch, yeah, or
Quidditch.
Quaritch. But it will be Quaritch though. I think that he's going to probably build up another round of. I don't know how many of his people survived, but I will say
Ne'er-do-wells, I think.
Ne'er-do-wells.
Jeremy Clement, as you mentioned, was great. You didn't realize it was him.
Oh yeah.
But the other guy that I thought was going to turn into a really cartoony douche was the one hunting the whales. The main guy. But I hated him so much. But he wasn't. But he was just like. He was the guy you wanted to
pops right off.
You were waiting for him to something brutal to happen to him, and he did that. The actor did a great job in that because, as we mentioned. As I remember, we mentioned how it's just such a disgusting thing that they kill these really intelligent creatures for that much of a thing that could power up an entire. I mean, that's the type of message that is reality based. That wasn't beating you over the head. Yeah. That makes you go, well, that definitely happens.
That definitely happens here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that type of thing, and it's like whether it's elephants with the tusks and things of oil and all this type of stuff, seals and things that happen. It's just like little things, and that's just the animal based of it. The other way, it was done very well. I thought
the way of the woke is what they should have called it. Come on.
I'm sure somebody already has.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I will say that guy was actually nuanced too, because if you know anybody who's a hunter, and obviously hunters use the entire animal, but there's like that guy thought the animals were beautiful. Isn't it amazing? And now she's gonna pull this. Yeah. Like there's like a reverence they have for the thing that they're killing.
Right.
And I felt like, I don't know, like not that made that guy good, but that felt like a real person who's we use these these whales for blubber. Well, aren't they magnificent?
Right.
All right, got it.
Yeah, kill it. Yeah. And that's also again when Quaritch was like, he's like, it's gonna piss everybody off. It's like, I know.
Yeah.
And it's just like because like drawing them out and doing that, even the idea of and I love the loyalty of all the water people where they're torturing them, they're burning their villages, everything, and they're not saying
shit. I would absolutely fold.
Nothing.
Like Jake Sully, he's with the lady that's pregnant.
That's right. Nothing. Nothing. They didn't do anything, and even like that scene again, going back when Spider's like, I'm sorry, and then the woman looks over, she's like, what? Tell him to stop. You know, just like that was like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But the two, and again, mentioning the two that really got me was the whale and then the baby holding off to the side, because you know, and again, because of the establishment of the relationship between Kate Winslet and that whale. That's why you cared even more so, because there's that conversation where she's like, "How's your son? How's your baby? How's your?" And then like they're having conversations, and it didn't feel stupid. You're like, okay, this is great. This is great. You understood why, and then she told and that's a scene as well too, Kate. And I love that they did this where they show up to the water for the first time, and you have Jake and Tyrion, they all show up, and the chieftain comes in, and he's like, "Okay, I got respect for you. I know what you've done before. Everyone knows the legend of Jake Sully. We're cool. You can come in." And then Mom goes, "Hold on a minute." Yeah. And she's just like, "You're doing this, you're doing that." She's like, "This one's not even a full breed, whatever." And then Tyrion gets pissed off and everything, and it's like, but I loved Kate Winslet's character because she wasn't an a-hole from the start. She was hesitant.
Yeah,
but
that's how Tyrion is too.
Absolutely,
Tyri's like, I don't want my kids playing with. Oh, not Tyrion. I don't want my kids playing with the spider kid.
Right.
That's the same thing. This mom's like, no forest people. No, thank you.
Absolutely,
we're good.
Yeah, and then she's the one that at the end she's accepting and she's running around killing people with a baby in her belly, which was incredible.
I was like, her naps during pregnancy look a lot different than mine.
Natiri's go-to move is the arrow right through the chest, through the glass. Ooh, she does that. It's every time. It never gets old. She can do it 1,000 times in a movie. Right, it never gets old. Right through the glass, and the guy goes, "Ugh!"
Yes. And it's amazing that a film can make you go, "Yes," when it's a human.
Yeah.
They've made him so evil.
Well, but that's why I like what they did with Spider. They kept the nerdy, geeky guy alive because it's funny. Smets had talked to me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to see Avatar. Just tell me this. I'm guessing that all of the humans, the good humans, die in the very beginning. I go, right or wrong? Wrong. Because they don't kill that guy.
They don't kill that guy.
It's that guy, though, when they call him in to help.
Yes.
When Kiri gets hurt.
Yes, when she has the
seizure. Stroke. Yeah, the seizure. And it's that alarming them to say, "Oh, well, we've been tracking them. They come in, and that's where they are."
Yeah. By the way, I thought we were gonna Chekhov's gun. If you see a gun in the first act, it's gonna go off in the third. I thought that I thought Kiri's stroke was gonna come back. Like I thought she was gonna be the one we ended up losing or something. It doesn't quite circle back, not in a bad way, but like, and I knew that part of what it was indicating to is that like she shouldn't connect to.
Right, and she showed that she could.
And then she showed that she could, because then at the end she ends up. That's sort of like how she ends up saving.
Yeah, because it's almost like she like Neo's it. Because it's like very similar to Neo. She just wasn't ready yet.
Yeah,
and that's what I took more so of her actually having a seizure.
Yeah,
I don't think it was. I just think that the power was overwhelming, and she's a little girl, and she didn't understand it yet. And I think that she discovered it
when it was like the moment that she needed it.
Yeah, and she figured, because she was almost like a deity at one point when she comes back in and she's talking. God. And when she's talking, she's in that Titanic scene. You know, when the water's coming down. There's a lot of nods to Titanic in this, which I really like. But then they
Kate Winslet.
Yeah, she was in the movie. She was, yes. That's right. You know, the character's name was actually Rose.
Rose.
Yeah,
Rose.
Yeah.
And I saw a rose in Pandora.
Yeah,
I saw a rose.
There was a rose. There was red. There was red. Yes, there was a ship.
You had to give her a little time. She's connected to everything. You just get like one thing. All the other ones, they get one. She's got everything.
Well, the biggest Easter egg that no one picked up was there's water in this.
There's water.
There's water, and it's very similar to Titanic.
And it's not the way of the water. It's just of water.
Yes,
way of
water.
water.
The way of water.
The way of water.
The way
That's right.
of
See, there was a the. All right, before we move on, I do want to tell you guys about. Okay, look, sometimes your confidence is just not there. We get it. You go into the bedroom, you're like, I don't know. You too nervous? Maybe. Had too much to drink? Could be. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift into drive when you need it the most. But listen, have no fear. Rex MD is here. They are spreading cheer even when you've had too many beers. So RexMD is an FDA-approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored this episode to help you always be prepared. RexMD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. So everybody knows you're in that. You go out. You have a couple drinks. I've told the Transformers story. You had a couple drinks. You're like, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? And not, this is supposed to be the big night, and it's not the big night because you just can't get going. Well, not anymore. Rex MD. Everybody wishes you had that at some point. They make the whole process simple. There's no need to jump through a bunch of hoops to set up an embarrassing doctor's appointment to get your medication. Just a few clicks of a button. You talk to a medical professional, you create a personalized plan, and you get the products discreetly shipped straight to your door within 2 days. That's it. RexMD just doesn't have ED medication. RexMD's other medications help sexual health, hair growth, pain relief, and sleep aid. RexMD has already helped over 300,000 guys gain confidence as quickly and conveniently as they are there to help you. So act now. Take advantage of their best deal yet by heading to rexmd.com/bigthing. That's our exclusive deal, and that's going to save you up to 90% off. 90% off when you only pay $2 per dosage. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. So that's rexmd.com/bigthing. 90% off. Give the gift of pleasure this holiday season and do it with RexMD. All right, thanks again. We appreciate that very much so. And once again, as I've told you guys, please, 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 if you find a sponsor that you like, go ahead and get it. Tell me about it. Let me know. I got to know. I got to know what you're thinking about it. Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? And you help out the show and you help out yourself. All right, before we wrap up, overall thoughts, though, Kate, on this film, what you really enjoyed about it, and where it stands on your list this year and in general. Is it your favorite movie of the year?
It's my favorite movie of the year. Number one. Did you see Top Gun? I did. Yeah, okay. And I loved Top Gun Maverick. And I actually believe that somebody actually pulled that maneuver. And I'm like, yeah. I think they actually did that. I think they pulled that maneuver. But no, for me, the immersive, I can't think of another film that I felt like I was part of that I had nothing to do with. Yeah. The way that this was just, it feels, I don't know, just the way in which we exist in the world. As I said, like somehow I like felt the motion of diving in and out of the water, holding the breath, like made me panicky. It was just, I just feel like it was stunning. It was new, and that new does not mean good. Like new technology does not always mean, but this, for whatever reason, this for me was it. And as a mom, this movie just hit all of those spots. You know, the end of Philadelphia. You remember the end of Philadelphia? Mm-hmm. They're showing. So Tom Hanks' character has just passed. He's won the thing. He's just passed, and then they have all of these home videos playing of him. Yeah. The end of this movie did the same thing to me that the end of Philadelphia did. Yes. When they're showing the little boy. Yes. They go back to the tree. The parents go back to the tree, and then they see the kid. Yeah. I loved that moment. I absolutely do. Right. But I'm done now. Yeah. Now I'm. You're a mess at that point. But you know what I liked about it too? It wasn't just a dream. He actually, like, that's what shows you about that planet, is that he actually was there to see his essence, to see him, to be there with him, to understand that he's like, he sees the younger version of him. He sees the older version of him. That was brutal, as far as emotionally brutal, but beautiful. And Natiri doesn't have her own moment with the son. She just witnesses Jake's, which I thought was so incredible too, because we know as parents, like we each of us relate to each of our kids in a different way than our spouse does. And like the most important person to reconnect with him in that beyond world or whatever was the dad. I don't know. I just thought it was so beautiful. It pulled all of the heartstrings for me. Brett, so you got a chance to because you've been wanting. This is the one movie, like, because Brett was like, if we get a screening, please. Please, and because he really wanted to see this, he had an opportunity to see it. Overall thoughts on the film, what you loved, what you really, what you didn't like, or what you're expecting to see in the next one. What stood out the most? What you took away from it? I can't say like, I've seen tons of films these years, so I'm gonna go with the fact that yes, I've been waiting since I saw this in the theater with my wife to see this, and I know that we don't have to like root hard for James Cameron. He's not some up and comer or something like, it's not like, oh man, I hope James Cameron's movie doesn't fail, because he's a wizard though. But he's a wizard. But I mean, it was very satisfying for me to wait that long, and I had a Chewie we're home moment when I got in there, and I'm like, oh yes, we did it, we're back, let's do this Avatar thing. And I had a great time, especially being in the theater with Kate. And the emotional impact of that last thing, I was with Kate on that, that was an about time moment for me. I was just like, especially with my stuff with my son and stuff, I was just like, oh God, I
held it back because I'm a man around Kate. I couldn't be.
Listen, I wasn't. I was at one point when I was.
It was the medication.
I was by myself, and I felt like, you know, the whale scene with the little baby that got a tear. That got the Denzel tear. And then
Denzel tear in Glory.
Well, in every movie.
The one lone
in
tear.
every movie. It's just the one tear that comes down. He's the king of it. But then there was and then obviously when the older son dies, I was sitting there going, hitting my knee like this. I'm like, and then that scene at the end, I got pretty emotional too. So I thought that they did a great job. And sorry, Brett, go ahead.
Oh, well, and what I want to see is, I mean, I want to see different tribes and things.
Right.
I want to see. I mean, we got water, we
big
got
planet.
tree, we got desert people or something. I mean,
there
like,
you go. There you go.
And I'm assuming that the fifth one, if that's the last one, is a culmination of all of them coming together in this kind of like, you know, world war against the bad human. And
they said though that was the quote that I really liked, was that they're going to show the sides of the humans on Earth that are good and that are not part of this crew that's trying to be the colonizers,
the dirty hippies.
Yeah, the dirty hippies. Yeah. Right. So, look, for me, as we mentioned, I think that it's just a beautiful spectacle. I mean, that's a given. Everybody knew that it was going to look gorgeous. I don't think there was anybody who doubted James Cameron on visually how this thing was going to look. It was a matter of, did you really think you were going to care for 3 hours and want to be back to a place that's been really out of your mind since 2009? And the answer to me was a resounding yes. And you just felt it immediately, like, oh, I want to be here. And that the score brought you back. And like my favorite piece of Avatar music was they reused it. It was from the late James Horner, who sadly passed away, but it's that song, when the tragedy song, it's like da-na-na-na-na, you know, it's like when someone passes, da-na-na. It's like the same thing that happened when the trees blew up in the first one, and they use that again, and it's so powerful the way they use it. And obviously the main theme and the new music, but there was just so much emotion in this. There was so much I mean, I think family, I think, is such an important. That's why I think that it's going to make a lot of money. Not only because it's good, but because what James Cameron did here that was smart was he made it a family experience. He made it somewhere where even if somebody saw it with a friend and going, oh, I got to take my kids to see this. I've seen it already. I'm going to take my oldest to see it over the weekend because I know she wants to see it, and I know she's going to lose her mind when she sees it. So I think this will be repeat viewing. Kate said it earlier too. I want to see it again. I think a lot of people are going to want to see it again, and it's got no competition until February.
Yeah.
It's got Ant-Man in February. That's it.
But even still, it has there's no other movie that's like this. I mean, it's like, there obviously are other movies that are out, but I'm like, there's no other movies that are
there's no other
this
experience
immersive.
like it. No, there's no other experience. You want I want to go back and I want to experience that again, because it's not like just going. I think that I've seen people, I think that there's a stubborn thing. I've seen people that we know, they're just like, oh, I refuse to see Avatar 2. It just doesn't interest me. I'm like, I think you're taking away from an experience. I think you're missing out from an experience of just trying, and you could very well come out of that experience going, well, yeah, I took a shot and, you know, thought I'd listen and said, okay, we'll see what everybody's talking about. It still wasn't for me. But I think not trying this movie out, I think it's a mistake. I think it's a big mistake, because I just think that there's just no other, as you said, there's no other movie like this, even when Ant-Man comes out, because I am very much looking forward to Ant-Man, the second one.
Yeah.
I love where they're going to be going now with Marvel. I've had a lot of Marvel in my life since 2009, right?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of Star Wars in my life. I've had a lot of DC in my life. I like the big, different blockbuster. We don't get them anymore because we're overwhelmed by this comic book movies and the other things, which is cool. Bring them all on.
Yeah.
But let's add in other stuff like this. Let's add in, and Dune's coming back next year too. So that's another, so those types of movies coming back, I think it's a great thing. John Wick's coming back, right? Like,
was Dune this year? I can't remember.
Dune was 2021.
It was 21. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna say that would be a tough call to make between.
I can't wait for Dune. But
if Dune was this year, would you put Avatar above Dune?
Yeah,
you would have.
It's only and it's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
It's that theatrical experience.
Yeah.
It's just, I just don't ever feel like that. I remember feeling that when I saw it in 2009. Like, and I watched it again, and I've seen it a few times on TV and or whatever, streaming or Blu-ray, and I've appreciated it, and I've really liked it still. Yeah. And I think as a movie, like, there's two ways to watch Avatar. You watch it in that theatrical, magical experience, and then you watch it as a movie. Right. And I think it stands alone as a movie. Some people don't. The first one. this one definitely stands alone. As I think I have to watch it on streaming, but I want to go and I want to see this movie. I would see this movie as many times as possible. Like the only problem, I was supposed to go to the screening last night, but I had to work, saw it already, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, and I want to take my daughter to see it because I want to see like the magic in her. I don't think she's never seen a movie like this in the theater.
And I don't want to see much again, and I do want to see this again.
Same.
Like I think who were talking about with Roxy or something like that. I was like, oh, you said, oh, you'd see it again. You'd see a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. And I think she would too now.
Yeah.
You saw her tweet. I think she would too. I'd like to, we'll talk to her about it. And we probably already had this discussion if going into the future or the past. Anyway, look, that was our full discussion on it. We're probably going to have more discussions throughout throughout other Big Thing shows and whatnot. But it's this is a very, very special movie, I think. But I'd love to hear what you guys are going to think. If you haven't commented on any videos ever, please comment. If you have you comment all the time, same thing. Got to hear the opinions, got to hear the thoughts on it. What were your favorite parts of the movie? What were the things that stood out? Did you think it was an emotional, or maybe you are part of the people who just say, you know what, it was a great visual experience, but the story didn't get me. I want to hear all of the opinions. I want to hear all the thoughts. So make sure that you do that in the comment section. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 70,000. It might be tough by the end of the year, but I think that with everything coming out next year, I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there hopefully early in January or February, but hey, who knows? Maybe we get a Christmas present and we'll get one now. So if you're brand new to the channel, go ahead and let me know if you can subscribe. And if you're brand new, all that, then so and more. Merch. Get some merch. Sith Council, show some class. The Top Gun Guy.
The Top Gun Guy?
The Top Gun Guys, the Flirt and Flouse, Capes and Cows, the Big Thing, SEN, Schmodown, and Farts Are My Brand is a brand new one. I get that for the dad in your life, especially for Christmas. That's a good one. Come on, it's a great one. So go ahead and get that. And obviously, if you haven't already, podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Make sure you do that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you very much so. Thank you. And thank you to Carbon Health. Thank you, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace out, everybody.